Hello everyone, my name is Holden Hardman. Thank you so much for joining me again for another video. We're going right into the Evil Dead 2. Hope you enjoyed the first Evil Dead video that we did. We talked a lot about Sam Raimi, we talked a lot about the process of the making of the movie. So this one came out a few years later, much bigger budget, and from what I remember from being at Sam's panel when Pastor and I went in Tampa, he said that they kind of retconned the first one and sort of started over with this one, especially since they had a bigger budget and they knew a little bit more of what they were doing. So the presenter at that panel that was with Sam Raimi was like, you could even start watching The Evil Dead with the second movie, and Sam made a joke. He was like, how dare you? To the guy. It was really funny. Pastor, since you really liked the first one, it had been a while since you had seen it, going into the second one, what are your feelings on it?
Evil Dead 2 is my favorite in the series. It's by far my favorite. I don't think any of them come close. I don't know why. I haven't seen it in about 4 or 5 years. I'm really excited to watch it with people that haven't seen it before because I think it's just a gigantic step up from the first one. The bigger budget comes bigger things usually. So I'm eager to see what people think. I really enjoy certain scenes that I'm not going to say because it'll spoil it. So yeah, I'm excited for this one.
It had been 10 years since Jeremy saw the original that he said. I believe you said that this one was your favorite. What are you thinking going into it again?
So yeah, this is absolutely the best movie as far as I'm concerned in the Evil Dead franchise. Sam Raimi got $350,000 approximately to do the first one. Stephen King approached producer Dino De Laurentiis, who did just tons of great B schlocky movies from the late 70s and early 80s. And Stephen King said, you've got to produce a sequel to this movie. So here we are a couple years later, and all of a sudden Raimi gets the resources, him and his brother Ivan get the resources that they need to kind of create the vision that maybe the first one should have been. So they've literally got 10 times the budget, they've got more experience at this time, and they really up the funny factor. For any of you guys that know Sam Raimi, apparently he's a huge fan of the Three Stooges, and you can see a whole lot more of that physical humor play itself out in this one. It's a fun movie. I feel like the first one isn't quite funny and it isn't quite scary, even though it's still really well done. This one I think really leans into those two elements and does it successfully. So I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody else thinks about it.
I love that you brought up the Three Stooges thing, because that's something I didn't know until I saw his panel, which is awesome. So Jenna was the most hesitant to get into the horror genre. You did well with Evil Dead. You weren't scared, said it wasn't anything like that. Going into the second one, any reservations, or you think you're gonna be okay with this one?
It's gonna be fun.
Matt, what are you thinking going into Evil Dead 2?
So I got this feeling that this is gonna be a little more intense. Yet y'all are saying there's a comedic factor. I'm actually having to tell them to shut up because they're telling me too much. So knowing that there might be a spice of flavor in there, that's good with me. That's good. I know that I'm probably not gonna get any Bygone Gym moments. It's all good. I understand that's not what this is. But I am interested to see if they're gonna up the production value enough to be able to deliver that scary feeling. They did a good job in the first one with the suspense, but can you scare?
Don't get too hung up on whether or not this is gonna scare you or not, because I really don't think that
Wait. What are you gonna tell me?
Just go in with...
Wait. Don't tell me what you're gonna tell me.
Now that I think about it, go into it expecting that this is gonna be just a horror fest. It's gonna
scare
the piss out of you.
Smiling and saying that, it's not gonna be.
There are some scenes I'm really looking forward to see how you're gonna react to. Let's just get into it, guys. The Evil Dead 2. See a little smudge on the camera there?
On the screen.
This little smudge on the camera lens.
In the year 1300 AD, the book disappeared.
Production value is like preposterous compared to the first. He's going to the same house? You're kidding me right now. This is the same damn house.
Dear Grace, Nosferatus.
See the lights on the trees they left.
Dude, he is like a pro at burying people.
The studio didn't own the rights to the footage of the first movie, so they reshot kind of like a different way he ended up there.
I found the pages of the Book of the Dead.
Yeah, I got your telegram. Thanks.
Hello, lover.
This is awful so far.
Well, you didn't want us to say anything going in, so...
That is red.
You gotta be a good actor to pull this off.
I wonder if this is where Jim Carrey got the claw. Seriously.
I bet it is. That's a really good point.
I am so confused.
Matt, forget the first one existed.
Why?
Another studio bought it, so they didn't have the right to the footage of the first movie. So they just kind of came up with a new way that Ash was in this situation.
Well, that is one of the dumbest things I've seen in film.
Well, there's only so much you can do. There's a Three Stooges influence here.
We'll throw him in there.
Isn't that Ted Raimi in that suit?
Brother?
Yeah. Ugh.
Just let her go. Just let her go.
Not this again.
When's a good time to stop watching this movie? I mean, pee.
Oh, no.
Pull this damn thing out of me!
Not a good idea. Nope, don't do that. Don't do that. That's...
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my
gosh.
You can probably let go now.
You're gonna love this, Matt.
Groovy.
There it is, baby.
Why was that sped up? Any idea?
It's comedic. It's,
Oh, okay.
It's supposed
Got
to
it.
be absurd. This is less about trying to scare you, more about trying to entertain you.
Swallow this.
Yeah. All right, just got done with The Evil Dead 2. So much more enjoyable than the first one, a lot more entertaining. Whereas the first one was much more focused, I think, on trying to be horror, gory. This one was just more absurd and I think fun. What did you think about it, Pastor, going into it again?
This is my favorite one out of all of them. The third one's pretty cool, but this one, I don't know, there's something about it. Perfect blend of the humor, and I do really like that they retconned everything. I know Matt had a really hard time understanding what that was. I thought that they, by simplifying the beginning and not adding all of those classic cheesy characters, made it better for me. A couple points I had on this movie. This one kind of made me think. The first one was more of a survival movie, whereas this one was kind of like a descent into madness kind of a movie. I'm not sure if that was his method or not. This one is, for some reason, to me, it's the best out of the three, and I really love this one.
Jeremy dozed off for about 15 minutes there. That's okay. What do you think about going into this one again?
It's not the movie that's boring, it's you guys. So let's just let me clear that up real quick. I'm with Pastor in that this one's really fun. I also have a sentimental attachment to the next one. There's a couple of interesting things about the reason why there's that kind of slight retcon thing between this one and the previous film. And if I'm not mistaken, Universal owned the rights to the original Evil Dead, so they had to go through and instead of using archive footage from the original film, they shot the stuff with the new actors, hoping to avoid a little bit of confusion by doing that. And then it happens again with Army of Darkness, where they don't own the previous film as well. So there's a lot of kind of reconfiguring it. Pastor and I, as horror fans, we're used to that. You look at a Friday the 13th movie, from one to the next, there's very, very loose continuity. It doesn't really change anything. But yeah, this movie is like, it's absurdist fun. It kind of feels like Three Stooges or the Looney Tunes or something like that. I have a lot of fun watching this movie. We see Bruce Campbell kind of come into his own known as the action hero Ash that everybody knows and loves. He's very much not that character the first time around. Despite the sleepy face, I really enjoy this movie. I have fun with it, and it's amazing. Like, how do you make a $3.5 million movie look like a blockbuster? You give the people $300,000 to make the first movie, because the whole time that we're watching it, everybody's like, wow, this looks really polished. Like, the effects are really good. Meanwhile, it's like hand puppets getting tossed around and stop motion, you know what I mean? That is very, very dated at this point, but yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
Jenna, what about you? What did you think?
This qualifies as horror?
I was trying to tell Matt was that there was a shift in genre. This is really considered more horror comedy than just straight up horror. So I'm glad that you're surprised we called it horror and therefore we're not scared, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there was like no suspense. At least in the last one, it wasn't really scary. It was more suspenseful. And this one, it was just a lot of like unnecessary screaming. The chick in the yellow shirt, whatever her name was, Annie, could have done without all that screaming. That was unnecessary. I don't know that I would call it a comedy. It wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Overall, I don't blame Jeremy for falling asleep. If it was my second time watching, I probably would have been there the same, falling asleep. So.
Matt really struggled with the retcon aspect of it. Jeremy was trying to explain that the studio that owned The Evil Dead would not let them use the footage to like kind of do a recap, so they refilmed it and therefore kind of redid an origin. So the first Evil Dead essentially didn't happen, but instead Ash and his girlfriend Linda went there, just the two of them, and they tried to show what happened there. So Matt really struggled with that. What did you think of Evil Dead 2?
What in the was this?
Language!
I was so lost from the very beginning. Retcon, whatever that even means. I thought y'all were saying Redcon, the supplement company. The first beginning of this movie is like, all right, I think I said it out loud. I was like, okay, he's dreaming. Like, this is like a weird flashback or something, and he's dreaming. So in my head, it was like, all right, no, he's not dreaming. So this is a new girlfriend, and he's back at the same house. He's one of the dumbest people on the planet to go back to the same place. It was either that or he had some sort of weird amnesia. So I was happy to see that they threw him into a tree. I was like, all right, he's got amnesia, but a bunch of head trauma, but there was no blood anywhere in the cabin, and I was like, what's going on? The homegirl, was that a different Linda?
As far as the studios are concerned, these are two entirely separate entities. The first movie is called The Evil Dead. This is just Evil Dead 2, because they could not tell the same story twice.
Understood.
So as far as what we know, that's the same Linda, just like in an alternate universe, if that would help you understand it.
Got it. Why not use a different house?
It kind of is. They were showing that like he gave Linda this locket, they discovered the little recording, they read it, they tried to kind of get us up to speed in this alternate Evil Dead universe. And that's mostly because of legality too. I mean, they couldn't make it a true sequel, but they also wanted to keep the essence of the first one going into the second one.
Terrible job. Terribly done. Makes no sense to me. I just don't understand. If you say the first one's not supposed to happen, got it. Okay, I can deal with that. That felt like the same set. Am I wrong?
It is technically the same place. Retcon, I think, means retroactive continuity. So retcon is taking the original storyline, reconfiguring it to work within the context of your new storyline.
So you're saying, why did they go back to the cabin? But in the continuity of this one, they never went to the cabin in the first place. Ash and Linda driving up to the cabin, just the two of them, having their little date, giving the locket, her turning into a demon, getting cut up, buried, and then the demon coming through like the doors the same way the first one ended, was supposed to let you know they're in a different world, a different universe, if you will.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know if I will get it.
Aside from that, what did you think of the movie?
Absolutely awful. Just so all over the place. It was unbelievable. The acting was terrible. The dialogue was minimally better. I loved the first one compared to this.
I didn't tell you because you asked me not to, but I tried to tell you that there is a much bigger tonal difference. This is less about trying to scare you and more about trying to entertain you. So I think you going into it expecting it to be just horror was throwing off, because you're waiting for where's the horror. He's dancing around with a freaking deer on the wall, you know.
It wasn't funny, and it wasn't scary, and it was this weird in between, and I did get the feeling that they created him to be like a little more powerful. I have so many little technical pieces that I could hit you with that would just annoy every single one of you, and I'm not gonna do it, but man, this was really tough.
Another thing too, I think that the first one was much more, here we are, we're in this cabin, we read the book, bad things are happening. This one was more, the genre was bent, so it's like, am I supposed to take this seriously? Am I supposed to laugh? And I think that's where you're like, this is just so weird, as opposed to this is is scary or this is funny.
Thinking about it, maybe what they were going for was, and I hate to compare it to this, guys, but what George Lucas did when how he realized, you know, this is what I would have done with Star Wars. Us fans are like, why did you change the original cut of the movie? He's like, well, if I would have had the means to do it, this is how my vision was. That's probably also in there beyond the legality thing, where Sam Raimi probably really wanted to show the excavator and his wife and all that, because we got to see that in this
first one.
Yeah, like he may have thought maybe that would have sold it a little bit better. A lot of the retcon stuff is just to get you to that moment of where unseen force is coming towards Ash, you know, with his back turned to the camera. That's all it has to do. Not the rest of it is its own thing.
We've seen genres change from an original to a sequel. Alien's probably the biggest example, where Alien 1 is definitely more horror, sci-fi horror, and then Alien 2 is definitely more sci-fi action.
This is the first time I've ever seen this. This is the first time I've seen like that bending, like you said.
And I think for, I don't know about most other people, but for Jeremy, Pastor, we can just accept it and we can just enjoy it for that reason, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there's just a certain expectation of horror movies when you get 7 entries deep into the thing. It's like you can kind of cherry pick and choose what stuff you want to carry your story forward with. Friday the 13th is the big example of that.
I thoroughly enjoy this type of thing. I like the absurdity to it. I just liked it. For me, I would probably rate Evil Dead 2 probably about a 7.5. I'd say probably a comfortable 7.5 for me, which surprises Matt. Pastor, what about you?
Especially coming off the heels of like when we did Demon Knight, to me, this is like the same kind of movie where it's like, is it a fantastic movie? No. Did it entertain me? Yeah. Will I watch it again? Yeah. And with that being said, and it being my favorite in the franchise, I'd give it a solid 7.
What?
Jeremy, what about you?
You know what's funny about this one? The first one was seen as such a controversial film. This one got really positive reviews when it was released, but it didn't do anywhere near as good in the box office. If I wanted to point to the horror in this movie, because we've talked a lot about the comedy, but with the Deadites, desecration of the human body is a big theme in it. Like, a lot of times you stab a vampire through the heart with a stake and it kills them, or you light a zombie on fire. In this, it's about dismemberment. You can see that the Deadites have no sort of respect for their own bodies. They cause themselves harm. They're just like, it's a lot of mutilation going on. I think it's creepy. I love that scene where everything in the cabin comes to life. I think this is a fun movie. If I gave Evil Dead a 6, I think I gotta go with a 7 for Evil Dead 2.
Jenna, I do want to know what you rate this movie. I also want to know how you compare it to the first Evil Dead.
I actually prefer the first one to the second one. At least the first one seemed to have some continuity of how you were supposed to feel about it, that it was supposed to be like suspenseful and kind of scary, but this one kind of was just absurd and not scary at all, but not funny either. It was just kind of over the top, weird, random nonsense. So that being said, I'm gonna have to give this a 3.
We are very divided in our feelings towards this movie, and I'm sure that divide will continue with Matt's opinion. What would you rate this movie?
I'm really conflicted here, y'all.
Do you at least understand whether you agree or not? You don't know why we would feel the way that we do at all?
I will tell you this, that I know that all 3 of you, and for every one of you out there that is into this, I know that y'all have experience with this type of movie. This is a foreign language to me. I don't know how to handle it. Maybe after more types of here's the thing, I liked Demon Knight. I think I gave it a lower score, but I liked it. There were things that I could draw from it. There is nothing that I gained from this movie. Absolutely nothing. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would rather watch Star Wars than watch this.
My only problem with that statement is that you're using Star Wars in a
but
negative
it's all
context.
It's all I have.
And let's just, I did make a realization here a second ago. I'm pretty sure I rated Cats a 4.
Oh no. I think Evil Dead 2 is worse than Cats.
Oh dude, Cats crushes this. Cats crushes this.
What would you rate this movie?
I give this movie a 0.
Are you kidding?
There is nothing about this is the worst.
Jenna, are you okay?
I gave it a 0.
That would make the Evil Dead 2 the lowest rated movie we've done in the 50-some movies that we've done up to this point.
I don't land on anything else that I believe.
Essentially what you're saying is that you would rather watch a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we get into Army of Darkness, do you want to watch Star Wars instead?
Sure, I'm sure the views will be better. Let's do it.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up here. Let me know what you think of all of our opinions. We've never been more split over a movie than this one. This is Matt's lowest rating. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Stick around, we're gonna do the Army of Darkness. I'm gonna also try and post that much sooner than next week, so it should be up pretty early. Consider joining me on Patreon. It's a great way to get early access to select videos like this one. Make sure to check out all of our channels. They'll be in the description below. As always, we appreciate you watching. Wow, catch you in the next video. Take care.
Can I give a negative rating?
No.
I'm sorry,
Goodbye.
Sam,
Thank
but
you.
it's just the truth.